Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to another video. Ramadan is over. Eid is over. Inshallah, everyone enjoyed their Ramadan and came out of it better than they went in and took advantage of the month and their worship and benefited from the month as much as possible. Bidnillah. So with that being said, I'm going to try to start making videos a little bit more frequently. It's just that I've been busy, but I'll try to make videos while I'm on the road or while I'm sitting and waiting for clients and things like that. I mean, why not? I have a few things that I would like to talk about. I just wrote some points about what did you see? Where?
He was right out this balcony. I saw
it's nothing. I'm out here. It's nothing on fire or anything.
No, he was smoking.
All right. Anyways, yeah, I have a few things that I'd like to I'm gonna do a series. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna be doing a series on these points that I've written about what it means to be Western. So I'll give a little introduction to what it is and a brief explanation before I go into the series, but it's basically highlighting everything that the West stands upon and what we were raised upon and indoctrinated with just by default, by no fault of ours. It's just where we come from and how those things are harmful and are contrary to Islam and must be identified in order to be combated. And I consider them obstacles in the way of Iman. Sheikh al-Islam Nasr al-Sa'di, Nasruddin al-Sa'di, rahimahullah, he quoted in his book Shajaratul Iman, the Tree of Faith, that anything in the way of Iman, any obstacle in the way of Iman should be removed. And in our case, if you have obstacles and you don't know what it is, then it has to be identified and then acknowledged, dissected, and then rejected. You gotta start working on it and reject it so that you can have the best potential from your faith as possible. So that's going to be coming up. All right, so let's get into the topic at hand, which is this lady tried to call me to Christianity when I was vending my table. I was vending my shoe brand at the Spring Souk at a company that hosts entrepreneurs and things like that, called the Ripe Market here in Dubai. And this lady was a fellow vendor. She was a Christian lady and she was vending a sunglasses brand. They were a mainstream brand as well, but she was there vending a sunglasses brand. She spoke French and she was West African from my understanding. And she helped me with a customer. Actually, a customer came over. She spoke French. I don't speak French, of course. And she helped me with the customer. It was a couple of African ladies who were vending, and I was going around any of you guys speak French? You speak French? So she spoke French, and she came over and she translated for me for the customer, and that was nice of her. And she also liked some of my shoes as well. So we got to talking, and she started to ask me, was I born into the culture, like the culture or the religion of Islam. That's what she meant. So I said, no, I'm not. I wasn't born into the culture. I converted when I was 15. And she was like, what were you before? I said, my family's Christian. Of course, she just was like, what? So you left Christianity? And I was like, yes. And my immediate family is now Muslim. And they converted over a period of 20 years. And she started doing this, like throwing her hands up, like, oh my God. Oh wow. So your family, you left the religion, and then your family followed you. You led them astray as well. So from that point, she started to talk to me about Christianity. So I'm listening to her like, huh, is she serious right now? But I'm like, okay. She wasn't aggressive, but she was very, very persistent. And I entertained it because I was like, okay, I want to use this as an opportunity to make clarity to her. And I'm going to refute every point that she makes because I was Christian before. And I told her that. I said, every time she tried to make a point, I said, listen, I know that already. I told you I was raised Christian. My family was Christian. And I've been Muslim since I was 15. I said, you know how old I am? I said, do you really think that I'm going to come back to a religion that I left and my family left? When you're using tactics and verses that I already know. I said, I come from the United States, the land of Christians, where you get onslaughted and attacked and challenged and called almost, I don't want to be extreme and say daily, but very often. Very often. So I said, I know every trick in the book. Everything that she said, I refuted it. Every single thing. Every verse that she brought, I already knew what she was going to say. I was like, okay, you're using that verse because this means that. And when you say this, this is what's intended. And she was like, oh, right. Okay, yeah, because you've been on this side before. I said, I know both sides. I'm Muslim. I was also making distinction between Islamic beliefs versus Christian beliefs. I was drawing the line of separation when she would say things like, we're all God's children, and different things that she was saying that Christians say. And I was like, see, that's where we draw the line. Concepts, oh yeah, about God being a man and things like that. And I'm like, no, we don't. That's where we draw the line. That's a Christian concept. Every time she would bring a concept, I would say that's Christian, that's Christian, but she was projecting it on me as if that was the standard, like the standard understanding of religious people. And I'm like, no, that's purely Christian. The Muslim belief is this. This is how we look at it. This is how we view it. This is how we understand it, as far as Islam. And she was like, okay, So it was I entertained it because I like to educate. It was no argumentation, not on my end anyway. I'm not an arguer because there's no argumentation in religion. We don't debate, rather. We don't debate in religion. That's prohibited. So there was no debate. It was just clarity, refutation, establishing proofs, and rejection. And I didn't try to counter call her to Islam because she clearly was trying to call me to Christianity. So there was no need to compete with her and try to turn around and say, oh no, see, you should be Muslim. No, it was no need to do any of that because the lady clearly was not interested. She was clearly convinced by her beliefs. So I only clarified to her why we are upon what we are upon, and why we do not ascribe to what she's upon. And at the end of my son came by the table because he saw that we were talking for a very long time. It was about an hour, over an hour, maybe 2 hours actually, because she kept going and she was telling me stories like, I asked a pastor in my country, and I told him, because she's coming from a largely populous Muslim country as well, but it's not a Muslim country, but it's a lot of Muslims there. So she asked her pastor, is it true that the Muslim people, if they don't believe in Jesus, that they're going to go to hell? And he said yes. And so she was like, and that's a very serious thing, trying to basically warn me. It's a very serious thing. And I tell all Muslim people that they should really consider what they're doing, and they should consider the truth. And I'm like, well, that's what you're supposed to believe. Y'all are supposed to believe that we're going to hell, that everyone else is going to hell. I said that's the same thing that the Muslim believes. That's the same thing that the Jews believe. Everyone else is going to hell. And she was like, well, how can you just say it's like that's nothing? I'm like, that's what your book says, that anyone who isn't Christian is going to hell. So you're going to, I expect you to tell me that. I said, but Islam is the final message and the final religion. So Islam tells us all about the previous books, which you are upon, what the Jews are upon. So I don't have any fear. You have fear, but I don't have any fear. I don't have any fear about what you're saying, that I'm going to go to hell. We have certainty 100% that we're upon the straight path, that Islam is the truth, that Muhammad is the last messenger. So those fear tactics, it doesn't work. So I'm like, yeah, well, that's what you're supposed to say. That makes sense to, according to what's in your book. That's what you trying to call me to Christianity. That's about right. And she was just taken aback, like, how could you just say that? And I'm like, well, that's what your book says, doesn't it? I said, but that's not the reality. You know what I mean? My son was begging and pleading me to just leave the conversation. He was like, Omi, please, just come on. I was like, no. I said, this is light work. The lady started getting mad. She started getting angry because everything she said, I would refute it. And I would bring proofs from the Quran to clarify why I don't agree and why I'm not going to acknowledge what she's saying to be, or validate what she's saying, or I'm not going to accept what she's saying. And she was like, I just tell Muslims that they should ask, to really pray and really, really ask, is Christianity correct? Is Jesus the way? Or is Islam the way? And I was like, but I can't do anything like that. Why would I do that? I said, there's 7 conditions of the Shahada, right? I said, we have a testimony. There's 7 conditions of the Shahada. And one of those conditions is to have certainty in the testimony. I said, so for me to go and ask God if Christianity is right or if Islam is right, that would show I have doubts, which is prohibited. As a Muslim, I can't have doubts. And for me to ask God that means I don't truly believe, which is a violation. So I said, no, I don't have doubts. So I wouldn't go and ask God that. And what they don't understand is the Muslims can say that to them. Y'all go and ask God what's the truth, to show you the truth between Christianity and Islam, because Islam is the truth. But a Muslim, you as a Christian, you can't say that to me because we have the final revelation. So you can't tell me to do that comment. You can't tell me to go and ask God that, because that's rooted in doubt, which we're not allowed to have. You understand what I mean? So I basically ended the conversation with when she said, we're all God's children. I said, no, Allah says, Qul hu Allahu ahad. Say Allah is the one, Allahu samad, the eternal, the absolute. Lam yalid wa lam yulad. He was not born, nor did he have a child. Wa lam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad. And there is nothing like unto him. There's no likeness like unto him. He's not a human being. He doesn't resemble a human being. He doesn't have children. All she could do was say, wow. Nothing else I could say to that. That's very powerful, and I'm done. I have nothing else to say. I mean, the conversation was so lengthy, but I kept my composure because I'm like, this is light work. That's why I kept. And oh, subhanallah, the other vendors, mind you, we're in a Muslim country. The other vendors were overhearing what was going on. They're like, what's happening? Because they're seeing us talking for so long, and this lady is starting to get angry. She's starting to get frustrated because I'm not budging. And everything she tossed me, I was tossing it right back. And she was frustrated. So the Muslims, the Palestinians started to get involved. They're like, what's going on? What's happening? And I was just telling them what she's saying. You know, this is what she's saying. And they were like, well, why don't you just read the Quran? Have you ever read the Quran before? No, I haven't read the Quran. She was like, well, just read it. You know, we've read the Bible before, which that's incorrect. Don't do that. We don't need to read the Bible. Islam is the truth regardless. You don't have to compare. Allah's words are sufficient. You don't have to. Allah tells us what they are upon. There's no need. That is condemned to do that in Islam. Prophet ﷺ condemned Umar radiallahu anhu when he was reading the Torah. And the Prophet ﷺ said, are you having doubts? Oh, Ibn al-Khattab? And he said, no. So it's condemned. We don't go into their books, and that's for the ulama anyway, for a purpose. But anyways, it was interesting. It was very interesting, and she bowed out at the end of the day. She didn't want no more. She left and was like, I'm finished. You got it. I was like, I wasn't even trying. It wasn't even about trying to win. It was like, I'm trying to make clarity for you. Hopefully by my clarity you would be guided, she would be guided to Islam. But may Allah guide people who are seeking the truth, and may Allah keep us steadfast upon, the correct belief in Islam. Grant us firm iman and firm understanding of the religion. But I'm almost positive that's against the law. She was openly calling me to Christianity in a Muslim country. We're in a mall, and other people were listening. Like, that was really crazy. So maybe she just got, ahead of herself and was really, adamant and passionate about what she was doing. But based off what I'm learning about someone mocking your religion, I think that's against the law. I do. But I'm so used to it coming from the West. You get onslaughted all the time. Christians come up to you in a sneaky way. I'm in a hospital bed. I have a nurse coming up to me while I'm reading a book about Islam, and she's asking me questions about the nature of God. What does the Quran say about the nature of God? And I gotta put her in her place and tell her that that's not a concept, but I understand what you mean, and also tell her Surah Al-Ikhlas. And then the nurse gets angry. She doesn't want to take care of me anymore. All kinds of things that I've experienced in the West with Christians coming up to you in public while you're minding your business just to attack you, passive aggressively. But yeah, I just wanted to share that to you. That's my little Hijrah story about being called to Christianity here in Dubai. And inshallah, I'll see you all in the next video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Please leave your comments down below. And remember, Hijrah, mandate sacrifice. I will see you all in the next video. Ma salam.